Have you ever thought about going the IT contracting route, but you're not sure whether it's right for you? I feel you, because I was there myself before I did take the tech contracting route and earned more than $350,000 as a freelance data analyst in just 2 years. But I also learned that contracting is definitely not for everyone. So I'll break down the pros and cons of tech contracting versus doing it full-time so you know what's best for you. Starting with the first and most relevant pro of freelancing in today's world, uncertainty in the job market favors contractors over full-time employees, meaning that AI, the uncertain tech job market, and the uncertainty of the future of jobs in general is actually good for contractors. Companies simply don't want to risk being stuck with permanent full-time employees that might be replaced by AI in just a couple of months or years. So companies prefer flexibility in times of uncertainty, and freelancers are way more flexible than full-time employees, obviously. They can start fast, work for a couple of months, and move on to the next project. And if you don't believe me that tech professionals are landing contracts left and right in this unstable tech job market, then take a look at these students that have all landed freelance contracts in the last couple of months. So for a company working with these freelancers, that means less risk for the company, but it also means more risk for the freelancer because they are the first ones to get kicked out when a company needs to scale down. Which brings me to the con of freelancing: you have less stability. You're jumping from project to project every couple of months or years, and as a full-time employee, once you get a permanent contract, you're relatively safe and could technically work at the same company for the rest of your life. Although in reality, this is not the case anymore, because if a company wants to let you go, even as a full-time employee, they'll find a way to let you go. But I digress. This appearance of carrying more risk as a freelancer is what results into another pro of freelancing, which is a higher compensation versus doing it full-time. Tech professionals I've worked with have doubled, tripled, and octupled their income by becoming a freelancer and doing almost the exact same work they would do as a regular full-time employee. But to be completely honest, you do have some extra responsibilities as a freelancer, which brings me to another con of freelancing. You have more responsibilities that determine your success. This is, of course, the case for anything in life, honestly. But unlike with a full-time job, where you can do the bare minimum to get by and still get your salary at the end of the month, where you don't necessarily have to improve your skills in your career, where you don't have to think about updating your resume constantly or growing your online presence on LinkedIn, with freelancing, you're solely responsible for getting your contract extended by actually adding value to the company. As a freelancer, you're responsible for finding a new contract. You're responsible for keeping your skills up to date, for updating your resume, negotiating your hourly rate, your invoicing, your accounting, for growing an online presence on LinkedIn, for growing your professional network, etc., etc. So for people that don't want to take extra responsibility in life, freelancing is a bad option. You'll end up burned out or without a project really fast. But for the people who can manage the extra responsibility, this brings more control and more freedom. You have more control over your time, your work, and your money. If you take on the responsibilities of freelancing correctly, you'll have multiple projects and clients lined up, so you can always pick the ones that pay you the most, the ones where you think you'll learn the most, or the ones that seem like the most fun. You have the freedom to choose. You also choose when you want to take a day off or go on vacation. Whether it's a couple of months of traveling in between projects and go on a mini sabbatical, or whether you just want to work full-time this entire year so you can earn some extra money, you have the freedom to decide. Multiple small projects or one big client, that's up to you. Working 5 days a week, 8 hours per day, or 4 days a week, 9 hours per day, up to you. Oh, and maybe the most important one, at least it was for me, as a freelancer, you don't ask your manager for a day off. You tell your manager you're taking a day off. It might seem like a small difference, but when you think about it, it's actually insane that a grown person who's 30, 40, 50 years old has to ask permission from their boss to take a day off to spend with their kid, friends, family, whatever. As a freelancer, you just say, end of this month, I'm taking a week off. It's a huge difference for your self-esteem, trust me. Another pro of freelancing is that since you don't get stuck in the same job for decades, but rather you switch to different projects and companies every couple of months or years, your work experience and your skill stack will grow exponentially faster than as a full-time employee. I mean, let me ask you, who has more actual professional experience? A full-time employee who's been doing the same job, the same tasks, in the same team, at the same company, basically living the same day every day for the past 10 years, or B, a freelancer who's worked with startups, multinationals, big teams, small teams, dynamic environments, static environments, who's used different skill stacks, used different tools, different platforms for the last 5 years. the freelancer, obviously, which is also another reason why freelancers get paid more. Their knowledge and experience is just worth more. Another big pro of freelancing is that you're basically an entrepreneur on easy mode. Let me explain. As a freelancer, you get all the perks of being an entrepreneur, like for example, being able to get creative with your taxes, but doing it legal, so you pay less taxes every year. You can write off a lot of costs as business expenses, laptops, phones, software licenses, transportation, car, whatever. It's all deductible and you don't have to pay any VAT over that as a freelancer. And maybe the most important one, as a freelancer, you will adopt the entrepreneurial mindset where you start to learn to see opportunities everywhere. You start thinking about diversifying your income streams, about productizing your services, but without the headache of true classic entrepreneurship, like hiring people, firing people, managing people, payroll, HR, logistics, inventory, etc., etc. As a freelancer, you're a one-man business. You get all the perks and the mindset of an entrepreneur without having the headache and the stress of an entrepreneur. And most importantly, as a freelancer, as an entrepreneur, you take care of your own retirement, meaning that you don't have an employer contributing to your pension, determining how much and in what to invest your money, and decide when you can take it out for retirement. As a freelancer, you determine how much and how to invest your money for retirement, whether it's the S&P 500, real estate that you might want to rent out when you want to retire, or putting it in Bitcoin or Dogecoin or Rocket Coin. You decide what to invest in for retirement. You decide when you want to retire. You decide if you want to retire. Because if you do it right, freelancing gives you the resources to build a life you don't need to retire from. And that should be your goal in life. That should be anybody's goal in life, to build a life you don't need to change. And that's exactly what I've done for myself. I've been a freelancer for just over 2 years, and then I've quit the job as a freelancer, started traveling the world, and started my creative business helping thousands of other tech professionals do the exact same thing. In fact, I've compiled a list of the 21 most important lessons I've learned by helping thousands of others and going through the whole journey myself. I've shared them in this video that you need to watch right now, or I'll kick you in the butt and you won't like it.